Good evening, good evening. Happy Thursday evening. This is Ilyasa. I am your host tonight for the Charge Room for the Where Is My King platform. Hashtag the men's locker room. I'm super excited tonight because we are back from the holiday week and the gentlemen are here. They're ready. So the topic tonight is an awesome one. Ladies, buckle your seatbelts, pull your hair back, put your bonnets on, whatever you have to do, because we're going to sit down and we're going to do this thing tonight. So, first, some housekeeping rules. I always ask if you could like the Charge Room on Facebook, follow the Charge Room on Instagram, and subscribe to the Charge Room ministry of mine that I created to help people heal. It's not just for women where they say, heal, sis. It's for men too, where we can say, heal, bruh. We are here. We are going through things. 2020 has just been a rough one for some and amazing for others. But all together, we got to string ourselves arm in arm to help each other lift, stand, and walk to stay afloat. There is no man or woman left behind. We have to do this thing together. And for those who feel that I can do this all by myself, you don't have to. There's always help. You just have to reach out or allow someone to reach in. Because help is not easy to ask, it's very challenging. Egos are there, um, attitudes are there, and then the way you think that no one wants to be bothered or no one cares, no one loves me, and you are separating yourself, isolating yourself to be alone. You don't have to be alone. The holidays are a rough one, ladies and gentlemen. Depression is high. Do not isolate yourself for the holidays, despite the fact that this is COVID, despite the fact that we cannot connect. But guess what? We can connect together by video chat. We can connect phone. This is not the time to not socialize, to talk to anyone, not to not you know. Don't think you don't have to talk to anyone. People are there. Let people out to you. Answer the phone. Respond to the text. Answer the video chat. If someone is giving a Zoom family meeting, get on it. We have come too far. This is December. This is the last month of the year. We have weathered the storm so far. There's so many people lost loved ones, I included. I lost a dear, dear pillar in my life. He was my true champion, and my heart will never be the same. But guess what? I am here. I am on this live. We are coming together in my ministry to help heal souls and broken hearts. You don't have to do it alone. We can heal all together. So I just want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. And like I said, let comment, interact with us so we can talk about it. But tonight the gentlemen are here. I thank you for coming out tonight. But remember, share this, create a watch party because people will learn something here. So tonight we're going to talk about why do men take for granted sacrifices women make to love them. Women, I know you are watching. I know this is a subject that touches your soul because women make more often make sacrifices to help love their man, help pick their man out, whatever they have to do. And there are times where you may feel unappreciated, loved, um, and asking questions. What is going on? This is not the same. So we go through things like we have children. You know, our bodies go through so many stress, so much stress and worry. And sometimes my doesn't look like it used to, but does your man still appreciate you? Does he still love you? You may have emptied out your bank account to help him with his dream. He turned around and left you for somebody else. I know that hits you hard. We do so many things, but then there's things that we out doing. And we also have to take accountability. We are all in this together. Love is not easy. Relationships are just not easy. But like I said, always with communication, get through anything. So kings are here. Me still tonight have King KY. We have King Darnley coming. Tonight we have King Father Wise coming to the screen. This is moving a bit slow, so hold on, bear with me. King K Wise, are you coming through? King Wise is on deck. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you?
Good evening.
Peace.
So
No.
one by one, I want to introduce that you're from. One by one, introduce yourself and let everybody know where you're from.
I'm having technical difficulties.
Okay.
Man, what happened?
K-Wise, introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, peace and blessings. I go by the name of Superior K. Wasbo Allah. Originally born and raised in Freeport, New York. Well, I wasn't born in Freeport, New York, but I'm raised out there. I hail right now. I'm in Winston, North Carolina. So I'm in the North Carolina region. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm at. Where I lay my home is my hat. All right, I'm good.
Oh, that's on me. Yeah, Father Wise, right? Native of Freeport, born and raised, and I've been around Freeport for a long time. Man, for a long time, I'm almost like a hometown icon. Man, right now I rest in Roosevelt, about 2 minutes away from the old neighborhood. So nothing special.
My turn.
King Donnelly.
Well, y'all all know my name, Darnley. Born in the Bronx, raised in Freeport. That place taught me a lot of things and taught me well. Introduced me to a lot of good folks that I'm glad to to this day consider them as family, such as Father Wise, K Wise. Like you my sister always. So, now I live in Maryland for the past 20-something years.
Oh, I'm in the show too. Hi.
Peace,
They
what's
can
good?
everyone can hear me though?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Everybody can hear
Oh, this is my first time doing this. I'm super nervous.
So, we got a new one.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm super
tonight we
nervous.
have a new. We got a
I,
King.
I can say
King
that today. We
Andre,
got a new one.
introduce yourself.
I'm Andre, 32. I live in Uniondale. Yasser is one of my most prized mentors. So I asked her to allow me to, grace the presence of this platform to speak on things from a younger perspective.
That's peace. That's welcome to the
Okay,
show,
gentlemen,
my
thank you
brother.
for introducing yourself. So tonight we're asking the question: why do men take for granted sacrifices women make? Often make ultimate sacrifices to get and keep the attention from their loved one. Women make sacrifices to bear children. She will be at several different serious health issues. Her eating habits will increase. Her mood swings will change. Her sleeping patterns will adjust. Her self-esteem will take a hit. And most importantly, her life will be at risk. Is it fair for y'all to think that her body is going to snap back into place? She's left with battle scars from birth. She's left with battle scars from low self esteem. She tries to hide them, and she struggles with that every single day. Not just the struggle of bearing children, but the life that she had from the time she was born to the time she's with you. She went through some changes. Her vanity is not always perfect. Is it possible that men do not cherish women based on some of the trials and tribulations, traumatic experiences that she's been through, plus the fact that she's with you as kings? At one point in your lives, y'all all started as boys before you transitioned into men. I can politely compliment every single one of you for transitioning into the role of a king. However, there are so many gentlemen that are still in the boy phase, but they do look like a man. So let's talk about men tonight. Could you share your expressions on this topic? Let's start with you, King K.
All right,
You
peace.
gotta unmute yourself.
Can y'all hear me? I did. Can you hear me? Okay. From the
Yes,
topic,
we can.
sacrifice. Uh, when it comes to women bearing the seed of man, I don't feel that that's a sacrifice. I don't view it as a sacrifice. I view that as just a force of nature within itself for man and woman to get together and create and bring forth life. That's a natural state. So I don't see that as being a sacrifice. What I would consider being a sacrifice is some of the things that are done that would be outside of the norm to where changes would have to be made. For example, as far as like for me, I say a sacrifice that I made was a choice to let go of one job that I had when I was working two to help take care of my family members, you know, and sacrificing my time, my travel, my gas, and everything like that in order to be there for my family in the time of needs when it's necessary. You know, um, that's what I consider type of sacrifice. There's a lot of things that women do sacrifice on, as far as saying bearing the seed of a man that they love and who they with. No, I don't consider that sacrifice. I consider that, like I said, that is the force of nature, man and woman to produce child to bring forth life. Um, there's a lot of things that women do, or super moms, like I like to call them, that go above and beyond to do for their husband, their boyfriend, or significant other, and for the like of their children. You know, when it comes to women, women are very protective over their children. So they will go above and beyond their normal state to make sure that nothing goes on with their cubs. You know what I mean? So the men, do we take advantage or misadvantage of the notification, misadvantage of that fact? Sometimes I think we fall short of it. I can't speak for all. I've had my own fair shares of ups and downs and mishaps, and you know, it took a lot of things to see and wake up to the fact, like, oh wow, you know, to see what the queen has done in order to make sure that I'm well as the household within herself. So those things like that, you know, sometimes people seem to make it like it's expected, you know, like she's supposed to do this, she's supposed to do that. When, but does she get the recognition? Does she get the applaud that she's deserved of it? Sometimes we neglect it, sometimes we forget about it, but it's always a good thing to make sure we as kings let the queens know that we do honor them for all that they do, even for the things they don't feel like they have done, to let them know that no matter what, they're special. You know, for like we say, you know, wisdom is necessary, you know, secondary, but indeed necessary. That's how we view the woman. She's very necessity to the help of a black man. And I'm gonna hold my peace for that part right now.
Okay, thank you so much. You were speaking that childbearing isn't a sacrifice. Um, that it's a part of what she's built for. I do understand that, but every woman is not able to bear children.
That,
Every woman is not able to bear children um, success. I am one that was not able to successfully. I lost five children before I had my son. So each time was for me. So I hear what you're saying. However, there is also a flip side to that because everyone is not built for the quote unquote standard as women are supposed to bear children. Everyone cannot bear children.
well, uh,
Wanted to add my 2 cents in for that.
in that manner, then in that manner, for those that apply to, because even for women who may not have
Okay.
the ability, may not have the physical ability to bear children, but yet still raise children, there's a lot of sacrifices in that as well. So it's still a natural duty. What I'm saying is, by nature, a woman is supposed to is a part of to be the part of the fruitful and multiply aspect when man and woman get together. Now there may be some that may not be able to produce the fruit. That's fine and dandy. But you don't I don't dismiss them. I still don't see, even in the fact of you losing five prior to you having it. That's not a sacrifice. That was something that happened of a physical nature because whatever it was that caused you not to produce the five seeds prior to the one that you had. And like I said, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything. And but again, the sacrificial part, a sacrifice to me, and I'll give a perfect example of what a sacrifice was as far as a woman bearing a child. There was a lady I know long ago, and she was pregnant with her husband's child. The doctors told her that if she has another child, that this child, if she goes through with this child, it can take her life. The husband wanted the child, the mother wanted the child, the wife wanted the child, but knowing the risk became a sacrifice because she made the ultimate sacrifice to bear this child because they was going to abort. The hospital wanted to abort her from having a child, but she told them no because she felt like this is what I'm supposed to do, bringing child forth in this life. So when she brought forth the child into the life, she expired. In a sense, it's saying that she sacrificed her life in order for the baby to be born. Now, that was a hard pill to swallow for the family because it was a toss and turn between who would be more valuable, the mother, the child. And so the rest of the family has to weigh that out for the rest of their life. Because the child now realizes, like, in order for me to be here, my mom had to sacrifice her life. So she became that sacrificial lamb in order for this baby to be brought forth into the earth. Now that I consider a certain sacrifice because of the situation in the map. But was it still of a
Can I
natural
speak on it?
True.
Can I speak on it?
Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
So,
Okay.
okay, cool. Thank you. So basically, in my understanding and my experiences dealing with life in general, right, and things I've come to understand, that is a major sacrifice for a woman. Major, major sacrifice. Because it comes into a whole bunch of different factors of her life. It comes into her personal, her financial, her mental, her emotional, sometimes her spiritual. So if that's the formation and a manifestation of the person themselves of all of those factors, yeah, she is sacrificing a lot, actually, a lot. And then it falls upon us as men, right, to be leaders. And this is something else that I keep seeing, right? Like, it's a consistency of guys doing things and then letting a woman off to be by herself, right? That's another sacrifice that she has to put in because that's something that's not even thought about. 9 times out of 10, when you're having a child with somebody, you're not thinking about them leaving you for dead. All right. So that's another aspect of the conversation I don't want to really go into right now. But as far as the whole sacrificing thing, right? I understand what you mean as far as that story goes. That's the epitome of sacrifice when you have to put your life in the hands of another person, a God, or however you want to put it, right? But you do got to look at it in the aspect of how females view themselves and how the world views them and their self-concept and self-identity. Those are the things in which I feel like she sacrifices the most because her body stretches in different ways. Her hormones go into different ways at times. They have to get sewed back up. And all of these things culminate into her mental and emotional, like, progression or digression, depending on how we deal with the woman that we dealing with. So there's so many different sacrifices that she makes. I don't want to go into like too much because I want other people to have time to speak as well. But it's so many different avenues of sacrifice that a woman takes into childbirth. And that's just one sacrifice a woman makes as far as the man she deals with, or the men she deals with, or the grown boys that she deals with. But yeah, that's all I have to say right now.
Father Wise.
Yo, peace, everybody. I'm just sitting there listening. and I'm trying to understand a woman's sacrifice. Like, I don't know. It's like this, right? Y'all know my thinking is left, right? So I'm just sitting here thinking about, they always saying the woman makes sacrifices, the woman makes this, the woman makes that. What are the guys? We make a lot of sacrifices for women as well, right? Nobody really wants to say that, but like in my lifetime, in my experience, I've sacrificed a lot for other for women. Um, Child, like Kay said it best. He was like, when you get married, and like you said, this is for all the women who can have children. If it apply, if it don't apply, let it fly. Like you said, Kay, this is for all the women. When you get married, right? You bring forth the ultimate understanding, right, Kay? We always talk about that. You get your knowledge and your wisdom together to bring forth the complete understanding, right? Man, woman, child, right? Child is a result of that understanding between the man and the woman, and that's just the natural order of things. When you get married, you are women. If you can, you're expected to have a child. That's just the way the natural order is. Now, if y'all discuss the fact that if y'all don't want any children, okay, that's that's what it is too. But I think, just me personally, and I may sound like a caveman right now, but I think men make is just as much sacrifice. Like for me, and the question was, do men take women for granted? That was the question, right? And me personally, I've never taken any woman for granted ever in my whole life, right? Because the bottom line is, like, when I was younger, I wasn't fly enough or I wasn't cool enough to get anybody, so there was nobody to take advantage of, right? There was none of that going on. So now in my older years, I'm like I said, I'm just different when it comes to stuff like that, man. I appreciate every woman for what it is they do, what they cannot do, or whatever the case may be. Like my whole life is different. I don't take anybody for granted. Never. And because when you start doing that, it just makes more chaos. It could cause resentments. It could cause all types of stuff. Taking people for granted, just thinking that person is always gonna be there. Nah, people have the right to change their mind at any given time. You could be with someone 25 years, 30 years. They roll over one morning and decide they don't want to be with you no more. So, you don't take people for granted. I don't take anything for granted. I got my health today. I got my life today. I could go to sleep tonight and tomorrow wake up dead. So I don't take anything for granted, man. And I think men sacrifice just as much for women. I know check this out, right? I know a guy. He was with someone, they got married. She got really sick and he was a match, and he gave her a kidney. And after she got her kidney, she left him. She left. After she got healthy and got back on her feet, and she left. So what did he sacrifice? A kidney, his peace of mind, his heart, his feelings, his emotions. Like men sacrifice too. That's all I gotta say.
King Darley. You gotta unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go a little to the left on this because I don't know. Am I older than everybody? Anyway, I got an issue on when people say men take women for granted. You know why I have that issue? The most complex species on this earth is a female. I don't care how much you study, you will never, ever understand a female. Now, when I say that is, let's say it's a couple. They have kids. Man's first point of view is provide and protect. It's what we do. We're so focused, we in our sleep, we think about protect. Let a noise come outside the house. We instantly getting up doing what we gotta do. So as a man, there's a lot on our shoulders. So we're so focused on providing. I don't care, we have 2, 3 jobs. We provide. But we may look at a female or our female and stop and say, baby, sweetie, you okay? What's the first thing she gonna say? No, I'm good. We're not mind readers. So when y'all think that we take y'all for granted, we ask the question, and this is from experience. If I asked you, don't tell me nothing, because you tell me nothing, I can't react to your actions because you're not giving me your full reaction. I mean, you're not giving me your full action. Men, we so good at reacting. We will sit still until something happens and we react. That's part of our protection. If something's wrong with you, it's our job to make you feel better. You don't feel good about yourself about this and that. And I tell you right now, the average man, look at his female, stretch marks and all. Still his woman, still his baby. We may not say it. We show it in different ways. Man walk past his woman, she in the kitchen, pat her on the ass. That's one of our ways. You know what I'm saying? That's one of our ways. You say something, I really like that. You ain't got to ask us. We gonna get it. We gonna sacrifice whatever it is to get it. Because men are givers. We get it and we give it. If that's our woman, she's not to want for anything. But mentally, y'all drain us because we have to fight the outside, ourselves, and now we got to figure out, what is she thinking? Because y'all won't just tell us straight. Not all, excuse me. Some won't tell us. So how are we supposed to know? Well, you won't pay attention to so-and-so. Sweetie, I paid attention to you. But how am I supposed to pay attention to this certain thing when I don't know? A lot of things that women think that we take for granted, we actually don't. If we feel you good, we focus on something else that we know is hindering or bothering. Like I said, we're protectors. We have to protect. You have no idea the burden on a man. If we decide not to be together and we have a child, that's a bigger burden. We got to worry about our child, who he's going to be around. Make sure I got to get whatever to make sure he's good. And then we get some of the females, like I said, they're unpredictable. If I was together, it was all, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the man. As soon as we break up, I ain't shit. I ain't this, I ain't that. Now we worried about our name being tarnished, so we got to make sure we got everything. Even if we not together and can't stand you, our first thing, if we come to do anything, drop us some money, whatever it is, and see your face funny, you okay? Nah, ain't none of your business. That's what we get. We be together, and we ask you the same question. We get, nah, I'm good. But in the meantime, as soon as we leave the house, she may be behind closed doors crying her eyes out. All she had to do was answer my question. Sweetie, what's wrong? Talk to me. Nah, I'm good. Just like arguments. Me, if something happened, let's handle it now. If you don't handle it now, don't come to me 3 days, 4 days later, because I don't want to talk about it no more. And that's, to me, that's them taking things for granted. We handle things as soon as it happens. Sometimes women, y'all can hold something for years. And this is what I've experienced.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Onto what you're saying, right? As far as the aspect of them not answering you and your questions or something like that, right? This is just like I said, this is just me and my experience in my little 32 years of life, you know. But in my experience, the man is the one who causes those type of situations to occur. Like the man is the one who.
I'm not gonna agree with that.
Nah, just listen. That's fine. We have different opinions. That's beautiful. But what I'm saying is this: is that a lot of times the man is the reason to blame for that, because in all actuality, like if that's your woman and like y'all deal with each other in a certain way, your communication level is supposed to be in such a way where there shouldn't be any of that. It should be a high level of communication that's consistent with understanding. And a lot of times the man is so biased to believing that his gender role should be a certain way that he doesn't look to see that the quote unquote weaker sex, which I don't like to say that, but quote unquote, is looking for an outlet, and he's the one that should be that outlet. And a lot of times we're closed off based upon life situations, life stimulus, and things that we feel we don't want to hear. Just like you said, if she come back to me 2 or 3 days later, I don't want to hear it no more. But how do you know she didn't need that time to focus her energies, to focus her emotional self, to get to a point to consistently speak to you on a basis to where you can understand and she can understand, and y'all can come to an understanding and not have to go through that again. You don't know what it entails in a woman's mental and emotional psyche to put herself in a position to be able to speak to you, especially if you're being biased to her feelings and what she feels. That's another sacrifice that women deal with. They suppress themselves, they depress their emotions so they can allow their man to feel a little bit more secure. And that's the man's problem. He has to do something about that. So that's why I said what I said, as far as you saying that, oh, I don't want to speak to her no more. And this and she, just answer my question. A lot of times, we're the reason why she doesn't ask that question.
So let me get this straight. If we have a problem, and I'm big on communication, my wife knows that. We communicate whatever the situation is, because my belief is the longer something sits, it spoils, it gets worse. Now, what you're saying is a lot of this lies on the man. Okay, well, insecurity.
I didn't say a lot, D. I just said at certain points in times. Remember, relationship is 50-50, so we're not gonna just put everything on a man and put everything on a woman. But for the purpose of the conversation, it's on the man right now. But go ahead, bro.
Okay, so it's on the man. Once again, and I'm gonna reiterate what I just said before. If there's anything wrong with her, and I'm speaking from my relationship, and I bring this to the table from the beginning. We got issues, it needs to be handled immediately. Now, we can handle it, and we can go back another day and say, you know what, I got something else. That's fine. But let's address it. At least address it. At least address it. You know what I'm saying? Just don't say, and walk off or leave the house or nothing. We are not mind readers. Now, I can come in the door after doing 16 hours. And I look at my wife's face, and I know her. Sweetie, what's wrong? Don't tell me nothing when I'm asking you what's wrong. I need to know. Because if you know your spouse, it's 10 years later. We should know each other. If I'm asking you, I'm concerned. Don't brush me off or hold it in. So them holding that in, it's nothing to do with the man. It's themselves. So just like if she asked me, sweetie, what happened today? I come in the house, I'm pissed off. I told her, what's wrong? I'm not going to tell her nothing because that's my cushion. See, women that I've noticed, and like you said, there's no such thing as a weaker sex. Because you ask me, a woman is strong. I'd take nothing from them. They deal with things that we couldn't fathom dealing with.
Can I interject
But
again?
hold on. But but you have to remember, it's communication. If there's no communication, then now if it was communication, a lot of insecurities would not be there. See, what I've noticed, women they do bottle stuff up. Like you said, it may take them a couple of days. At least say, listen, I got an issue. I don't want to talk about it right now. Can we get to another day? Fine. Just don't say nothing. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Because we're going to go about doing whatever we was thinking about doing or handling some other business. Go ahead.
Oh, now it's too late. Now I wanted to interject for a specific thing that you said, but um, that's all right.
Go
That's all
ahead. You
right.
should remember
You
it.
can continue.
What part? What part? Go
No,
ahead.
it's okay. We can move on.
Can
Okay,
I interject?
let me jump in. Go ahead, Queen.
Can I? Okay. Okay. First, let me ask: is everyone okay with what they said this first round?
Yeah.
Before I interject.
I'm perfectly all right with it.
Okay. So I'm hearing every single one of you kings, and as a woman, um, I've been through some relationships. I can hear all your sides. I can hear all your sides. But just like Darlene said, a woman is complicated. She is. A man is complicated as well, just in my opinion. And I'm gonna break that down for you. Based on how you were raised, the environment that you came from, communication may not have been big in your household. So I am, again, a victim of that. Communication in my household was not big for me. I was raised in a be seen and not heard environment. So I may think a way. I may want to speak a way. I know how to convey a message. However, I was unable to speak or be heard because of how I was raised. So when it came up to me interacting with men, I was extremely quiet. I followed his lead. And it came to a point where you end up doing things that you really don't want to do, but you do it because you seek attention and you long love of that man. You want to keep him happy. You want to be quote unquote in a woman's place. So speaking how I feel about something wasn't easily um, um, able for me to express myself because in my mind, I'm not able to speak. It didn't matter if I spoke or not because whatever viewpoint I had was not going to, and that levels out your self-esteem. My self-esteem was extremely low for many years. It took me at least 20 years to establish that I had a voice. And then it probably took me another 10 years to stand in my foundation to say I am speaking and I want to be heard. So where I stand today is a huge accomplishment for me. But I went through training, I went through education, I went through therapy, I went through coaching to get where I am today. It just didn't happen overnight. So, yes, there were many relationships when I was uptight, pissed off, ready to punch everybody out. But I stayed with my mouth closed because I was taught to not speak. So when they ask, "Are you okay?" I'm okay. It's nothing I gotta say because it doesn't matter. And I know I wasn't the only woman that was raised like the age. So it's not easy to express yourself despite the fact you are with someone. Y'all are really, you doing small talk. Hey babe, you okay? I'm going to the see something. I want to go with you. You want to do this today? You want to go to the movies? You want to go to the concert? The transaction happens and everything is done. That's small talk. That's not core talk. That's tabletop talk. The core speaking, when you speaking from your core, from your gut, that's like taboo. How dare I speak up to say, you don't make me feel good. I don't like the way you talk to me. I'm risking my relationship because that's how I'm thinking. I want to let him know of what I don't like because I'm afraid he might leave me. That's how I'm thinking. So I'm going to do everything in my power to not cause friction, to not bring a challenge
What did you
to
have
the
to
table.
sacrifice?
Huh? It's not about sacrifice. We're not talking about sacrifice
I
right
said,
now.
what did you have to sacrifice?
Huh?
Hey,
Oh,
Lisha,
okay.
like I say something real quick.
Okay.
Um, I understand what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying. And I understand what the young king is saying, and you made a good point. You was raised. I was raised by a very strong man, but there was also a very strong woman. And I've seen this, and I've watched him. And like you've seen him, he worked 6 days a week. His only day off, he made sure she was straight. And I've heard them plenty of times. With Laisha still there? I'm waiting for her to come back, fellas.
Yeah, she's buffing. That the echo and all stuff I kept telling y'all that we hearing. It's like
Yeah.
different devices on at the same
Okay,
time.
there she
Sometimes
go.
it buffs out.
Okay. Can you hear me, Laish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like I was saying, how I was raised. Like I said, everybody raised different. K Wise, I know how you was raised. You have to have the strongest family I've ever seen. Know what I'm saying? Um, Father wise, I just know bits and pieces, but being that we've known each other for 40 something years, you still don't know. Leish may know part, but not the deep. When my father would work and come home, and I've heard this several times. He asked her, "You okay?" My mother was never one to be shy. No, this is going on, that's going on. I'm not liking this. So that's when I said, when I asked you what's wrong, and like I said, in my relationship, the first initial blueprint you have to set, she has to set. You have to agree. We always got to talk about whatever's going, whether it hurts my feelings or not. If it hurts your feelings, I may say some things. and I may regret it, but to me, that's going to get to, like Elisha said, the core. I expect a certain thing from you, and I'm accepting the same thing back. So don't get me wrong when I said, if I ask you what's wrong, I expect you to say, well, that's what I brought to the table in the beginning. And if you agree with that, then I'm going to follow that. So my thing was, my mother never bit her tongue. And my father adapted, adjusted. He never bit his tongue. My mother adapted and adjusted. And I think that's why they stayed together so long, even though there was battles back and forth. But at the end of the day, if he asked a question of, "You okay today, sweetie?" And she'd be like, "Well, I got a little something in my mind. I don't want to talk about it right now, but there is something we could talk about it later. Right now, I'm gonna handle this. I'm gonna handle that. I'm gonna get back to you." Fine, whenever you want to. So it goes back to what Elisha said. Being raised in a household is a big contribution of how you living your life now, because things are embedded in you.
Mirrored.
It's just what you're used to.
And they're mirrored.
Yeah. And you see it, you give it. Like, I had to stop certain things. I watched my father work his ass off. He died at work. You know, my wife told me, stop working so many jobs. I like to live a certain way. I want to give you everything that you ask for, more than what you need. So it all depends on the person. Like the young king said, I understand. In our era, that's what it was. I know women that stayed home all day, took care of the kids in the house. The man did what he had to do. It wasn't a lot of time for him to be like, well, I got to take time for my wife. And she knew why he did it. He was trying to provide for his family. He might have neglected, not took for granted. He might have neglected. Not to say it wasn't on his mind, but at the time, like I said, I grew up. I'm a '60s baby, and we grew up different than what the kids born in the '80s are going through now. And I don't take nothing from them, because it's not their fault. It's who they were raised by. And every century, millennium, whatever you want to call it, has their own ways. So when I say neglect or took for granted, of course something's going to slip through the cracks and the crevices. But I go back to the same thing: communication. And like you said, you was taught to be seen and not heard. It all depends on the raising, and it all depends on that relationship. You have to establish a blueprint in your relationship first. And if you leave something out, then expect something not to be taken care of. I'm an open book. Give me everything you got. I'm a sponge. I'm going to soak it up. Now, there's times that I've not said things, and I realized it made things worse. When I was asked a question, it made things worse later on down the line. And I had to learn year after year, time after time, like, you know what? Maybe you need to say it. We have to have tough skin if you're in a committed relationship. You have to have it, because there's some things you're not going to hear. And trust me, I've heard some things told to me, like in our last meeting. I had to dig deep and like, okay, lesson learned. So everybody's situation is different, even based on age. Not even based on age, because there's some young millennium kids that was raised that are being raised like the old school. And there's some that just go fly by night, do what you got to do. But you can't say that men neglect women. We do. Some is not on purpose. Some is on purpose. So it's all on the situation of that individual. Did that kind of clear things up, young king?
Yeah, you're fine. That's great. Thanks.
Because I'm not saying what you're saying is not right. You was brought up how you was brought up. I don't know. But
I'm
all
gonna
I
be
can
real,
say
right?
is my experience.
He's a millennial.
So yeah, however that basis of millennial goes, I guess I am that. It really doesn't matter to me either way. I validate me and nothing else does. But yeah, so um I wasn't raised by either parent, bro. Like I wasn't raised by either parent. Mother was on drugs. Pops wasn't around. Um, went to prison and all that and did it all, right? But my whole thing is this, right? It all comes to the choice that you want to make, right? Because you were born in what, the 60s? I'm born in 88. Y'all already know what's going on in 88.
Gee,
Yeah,
hustle,
everybody
hustle,
laughing. Yeah, exactly.
hustle hard,
Right?
baby.
No, not, not,
Exactly.
not laughing. Not laughing.
We been
I'm not worried about
I'm
that.
not,
I don't worry
hey,
about those things.
look,
That
don't get me wrong.
hang on.
Take this what I'm telling you. We're not laughing at you. We're
Nope.
I
laughing
don't take that
at us.
offense, bro.
Right.
No. We're laughing at ourselves because
I
we
know.
blew. We blew
I
through the
know.
80s. We had no care. We blew through the 80s, and I guarantee you that my brothers can understand. We blew through time, money, and life. We blew. We lost our 80s because we
I'm
was
about to
well.
go somewhere with this conversation too.
I was simple.
Yo,
So
I was just getting ready to. I was just gonna say this, like, yo, please don't think we ever laughing at you. That
oh no,
that
never.
What
that
about that?
laughter that you saw all three of us do, that or this did that at that split second, that was called identification.
Yes.
Yo,
I know.
let me tell you something. I'm looking at it like this right now, right? You said you 32 years old.
32 years old.
You could have been my son. You could have been my son,
No,
right?
sir.
That I walked. No, I'm just saying you could have been my son that I walked out on. That your mother
Sir.
was on drugs. That this stuff happened. Like that's yo. We look at that. That's a big yo. Us here, us guys here. The baby boomers played a big part in our lives. Those were our parents. We came out. We are Generation X. And Generation X are the parents of those millennials today. Right? So we know when he said we blew through the 80s, yo, and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do something, right? I'm going to apologize to you and all the other millennials for my actions.
That's respectable.
I could have been that one that was selling your mother drugs. Right? I could have been the one that got a plan to help your dad go away to prison or wherever he went not to come back. So I'm sorry for me personally. I'm sorry for being a poor role model back then. Sorry for that.
Real talk.
Because I
It's
went
cool.
I went to
It's cool now, like, because I'm old, bro.
It's not
I done
cool.
been through too much, man. Like, I
But
done been through the wars and struggles already, bro. Like, I done been through too much, man. So, like,
hear me
it
out.
don't really, it's not really a breaking point for me, man. I done broke down and built myself back up.
All
I
right,
appreciate you
right,
definitely for saying that, though.
Right, hear me out.
But I was trying to go somewhere with what I was saying, consistent on, being raised and whatever how. But my thing is like, where the guidance at? Where was the guidance at?
And this is
You know
what
what I'm saying? Like, and now that's my thing, because it's like the light that shines in me, I had to fight through the mud to get to that. I had to break through concrete barriers to get to that.
So
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm talking about up here, not outside, up here. Because I didn't have the guidance, I didn't have the understanding to know that there's a better way to deal with yourself and at the same time deal with others. It's because consistently I haven't had a relationship where I've 100% committed myself and at the same time 100% got the results that I wanted. You know why? Because I made decisions that were bad concerning my relationship, concerning myself, concerning the woman that I felt I wanted to deal with. But I played her and I played myself because I wasn't ready. You know why? Because I didn't have that guidance. Right? I didn't have guidance.
Now, what I was
And
saying,
that's the only thing I'm trying to preach. As far as anytime I come on here, I don't know if I'm gonna come here like every time, but I'm gonna be on here more often. But anytime I preach anything, it's always gonna be about positive growth, empowerment, and uplifting. Like that's just always where I'm gonna go. So if we have bickering matches back and forth, it's gonna be because I want you to see my perspective and build on that at the same time that I see yours, and I build on that. That's the type of energy I move on. Just so you guys know.
Yo, peace. Can I let me add on to this here? Um, Young King Dre, I applaud you. I commend you for sharing your knowledge because that's what it's all about. You know, it's this whole segment deals with learning from another man's perspective. What we're here to do. Whether we're old school, what we call ourselves old school, and we still young. You call yourself old school, middle school, however, because you got people that's looking at you, considering you the old school. You understand what I'm saying? My thing is this. Now, what you said was you learn from yourself. You learn for yourself. Let me ask you this. Okay, you didn't have a mom's, you didn't have a pops. Who was significant in your life as your steps progressed? There was somebody there. There was somebody.
The gang members and the drug dealers that was telling me this not the life for me.
Okay, there was somebody there, whether it was male or female. You still had somebody, whether they was in the gang or whatever. They gave you some of the best advices they could as themselves, seeing you growing up into a. I had family. I had family that were major drug dealers that I got involved. They was like, "Yo, get your behind out of here. You ain't got no business in here." But I did because my hard head made my soft behind. So I had to pay the sacrifices, what I had to do, and still learn because your best experience, yourself is your best experience and teacher. But you got there's wisdom that's above you from people that's been there, that's done that. We've all done some things in this panel that we may not be saying on live television, but we know where we've walked in them shoes. So what I'm saying to you is, there was always going to be somebody in your life that may have said something either that you heard or something that was directed directly to you that triggered you to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me take a look at myself at some point in time. So you did have influences, even though you may not have had the guidance you were looking for within a mother and a father. You had a mother and a father in the streets. You had a mother and father maybe in the pen. You had a mother and father somewhere. Queen Elisha, giving you just said she's one of your great mentors. So you have gotten something from somebody, irregardless to what your age is now. And it's still your progression is what making you that better man because you're doing that knowledge yourself of your own free will and accord. So yeah, I applaud you. And it's beautiful that I want you to come back. We want you to come back because we need to learn. We, as our older people, still need to hear what's going on with the millennium, because the stuff that we be saying is where we all know where we at. But the stuff that
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. Some of the stuff you guys were saying, I was like, well, I don't agree with that.
You have to understand, I don't agree with that. You have to understand that time and era. Just like King D said, my family, my pops was judge, jury, and executioner in my house, in our house. Okay, you couldn't chew bubble gum and snap your fingers in my pops in his presence. You see what I'm saying? He was everything you said you was going to be. That's it. Point blank period. You ain't had no opinion. You ain't had no factor. As long as you was under his roof, you lived by his order. Period. Now, my mother, strong as an ox, as little as she is. Okay, my mom was like Mike Tyson. She had a hook. She definitely still got it, and I don't mess with her not to this day. That's my heart and blood. But the respect of the parents was always this. Oh, somebody disappeared.
Dang, everybody left. Oh.
All right. So what I'm saying is this: when my mother and father would communicate amongst each other, okay, whatever was going on in their room, that's where it was kept. It was never brought outside to the kids and everything unless It was something that Dad said everybody's got to know about. Other than that, I never seen my father disrespect my mother publicly. Never seen my father disrespect my mom's inadvertently. With every conversation that there was, he come and say, he would ask my mother, is anything wrong? And my mom's was never one to hold her tongue either. Because listen, my mom's had to be tough raising six kids. All right. And majority of them were boys. I ain't got but one baby sister. You know what I mean? So she was the rock of our Gibraltar, plain and simple, you know. And he didn't take advantage of it. There was just roles that everybody had to play within our home. Okay. That was just a part of traditional standards. That was just some things, like you said, a lot of these cute things is how we were raised. And then from some of the things I did see growing up that I may have disagreed with, then as I became my own man and had my own foundation, I chose to change what the traditional steps was for me so that it wouldn't fall back in my way with my children. Now, I've made my mistakes. I take my lumps with them, but I still love and adore everybody that's in my life, and I know that they love me, regardless, because I'm still going to be who I am. Okay, so as far as, and I know we just went way left off target with everything, it's the sacrifice, or that we take advantage or for granted of a woman. Again, that truly has to deal with the time and era of the circumstance or relationships you're dealing with, because we can look at it so many different ways, from a married perspective, a relationship perspective, or just a common denominator for a factor. Like when somebody, boy meets girl, boy and girl get together, they have a kid. Does that make the responsibility of them to become husband and wife? No, it may not be like that. But the responsibility changes. Both environments changes, because now you have an understanding in the midst from y'all coming together. So some people's going to have to you make the changes for the factor of the seed that you rearing. I heard something.
I appreciate every single one of you, the viewpoints that everyone is bringing up. Um, it went left, but it was a good left. So, I'm definitely not mad of it, because if you really look at it, we revealed some things we that brought awareness to our thought process. Just by having a younger generation on tonight, it opened up a viewpoint that we kind of let sit in the back of our minds. But it also demonstrated how it's important that we have to be accountable of how we think and how we behave. It makes a difference as parents when you are raising your children. It makes a difference how you think and how you behave, because the outcome of think and behave. Most times, if we are moving in a space of being into ourselves, as I call it, a selfish way of being, you want to do you, but you left your child with your mother or alone. But there's some instances where single mothers would have to leave their children alone because they had to go to work and they had no babysitter or couldn't afford a babysitter. So they call them latchkey kids. So it's just different situations and scenarios that will come up based on your life grind at the moment. It doesn't take away from you trying to do the best you think you can do at the time. That's when someone is trying. But then is that selfish parent that abandons their children to go do them, and then they leave the children with other people. All of that again makes a difference in how that child grows into an adult, and the reflection of that experience reflects in how they interact with people and develop their relationships with others. It could be toxic, a toxic relationship, just like how I said, I wasn't able to speak, so I couldn't freely speak how I feel, and I felt like I was in my own mental prison for many a years. Like it's like you're free, but you're not free. And then when I crossed over to feel freedom and gain that peace, I fight for it now. Like I literally battle you to not cross my line. I battle you because I have boundaries and non-negotiables. And I refuse to allow anybody, I don't care who you are, to take away what I gained because I suffered for so long.
Mm.
So every person is not there. And there's so many people that has not even cracked the code. There's so many people that still haven't said, okay, well, I have this issue. They refuse to even identify that they have that issue, that they are unable to effectively communicate with someone else. Again, people so much surface talking or surface interacting to sit down and get to the core or the gut to have an intimate verbal effective communicative flow back and forth with a person. And it doesn't have to be somebody intimate as your lover. Just it could be with a family member, your mother, your father. A simple one. When I was pregnant at 35, I was devastated that I could not tell my father. That's how backed up I was. But there's so many people that are unable to express how they feel. And I'm gonna give you a great example. You know how people send you your messenger inbox and people always complain about it. It'll be, oh, this is a prayer, or this will be a whatever quote, pass this on to
Chain
10
letter.
people,
Mm.
otherwise you'll break the chain. Like, right. They passed those on. They was going hard in people's inboxes, but believe it or not, they had very beautiful sayings on some of them. But because a person does not know how to freely express those words through their mouth, they'll read something and they'll say, "Wow, I feel like this. Let me share it with so and so because I feel that with them," and they pass it on. And then there's people that get upset. Oh, I hate these chain letters, or I hate these inboxes. So many people's down there messenger because of it. But I say like this, that person thought enough of you to share it. You're not even looking at, they didn't know how to verbally convey that. You're not looking at that part. You're just
Like
looking at it,
that.
oh, they getting on my nerves with this. People, everyone is not able to intimately express themselves to love someone else. Love is such a challenging process for most people. So many people do not even love themselves. So, how do you expect them to love you and say so? They'll say, love you. They'll say, love you. They may not say, I love you. I'll love you. There's a difference when somebody say love you and then they say I love you, or look into your eyes to say I love you. Caress your face and say I love you. So many people cannot do that. So back to the topic, do men take women for granted in certain situations? Do women take men for granted in certain situations? This is a two-way street here. Both parties are responsible for their behaviors. Both parties. And back to how relationships get started, if you don't sit and, just like Donnelly said, establish a blueprint after you both identify that you quote unquote like each other, are interested, have feelings for each other, you have to establish a contract, a blueprint. These are the rules of engagement. And y'all constantly talk about it. We even had topics of what we were saying, how if does a man need a woman to, like, make them, help them be accountable to reach their goals or whatever. We all agreed that, women play a huge role in a man's life. A woman plays a huge role in a man's life. The man is the one that leads. The woman makes sure that he has everything he needs, nurturing wise, to help him, to propel him to plow through to the roles of achievement. It's a 50-50 split that both parties have to emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and be present in the relationship. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Somebody's going to get angry. Someone's going to catch an attitude. Someone's going to get mad. And then comes World War VII. So to practice what we desire, both men and women must participate and be emotionally present. You just can't have your body in the room and your mind is on the other side of town. That's not emotionally present. Your body is there. Just like when you die, your body is just there. But your mind, your spirit is gone. You have to be present for somebody to feel you, to receive you, to embrace you. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. I don't care what age you are. It doesn't matter your age at that particular point. You have to participate. You have to be accountable. You have to be committed. You have to not break promises. You have to sit down and negotiate. You have to compromise. It's a two. So I thank you all for a fantastic session. Is there anything that you would like to give as we close for encouragement for anyone watching?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna say it
Okay, go
again.
ahead.
Every relationship, I don't care how good you think it is, communication is a key, a very strong key to a relationship. foundation is a very key element to a relationship. And you must remember, neither one in a relationship are mind readers. So that's where communication comes in. That's where the blueprint, the foundation comes in. You get those together, a lot of relationships would be a lot better than where they're at right now. Oh, and stop. Men and women have to do the same thing. Stop blaming the other one. Sometimes we have to take accountability for our actions too. That's both sides. There you go.
Well, I would say, based on our understandings of how men and women work, we should always be looking to gain a better understanding of each and every individual, just as an individual. Um, for me, the biggest thing I gotta say is just to come out your comfort zone, man. Because a lot of times we in a comfort zone where we feel like what we say, what we know, and what we understand is the truth, and that's it. So we got to learn how to step out of our comfort zone and be able to get past these certain type of biases that we have based upon, familial situations, financial, however, your past and whatever. But the biggest and most important thing I want to say is, like y'all said, man, just be present. When you're present and you hear and you understand what's going on in front of you, only thing you can do is grow, especially when you have a better understanding. That's really all I can say, man. Just be present.
All right. From tapping on earlier, real quick, what the young king has said, I want to say this. When you're in a relationship, whether it be long term, well, let's make it short. Let's deal with it. The moment you set forth to say this is the one for you, whether it be male or woman who's with you, the key thing about the communication part is listening. Look, listen, and observe and respecting each other. That's the knowledge. All right. As you learn and growing within each other, then you become wise to who has what and what has who. You start to know each other in and out. Okay. The best part of that, the communication part, is the understanding that both y'all have within the relationship of each other. What is this? So when you come home from a hard day's work or something happens to piss you off outside of your home is supposed to be your heaven. You're supposed to be able to come home and relax and release all your burdens, and everything's supposed to be good, supposedly. But watch when you walk in them doors, and that woman, the woman or the man, however it happens, if they ask you, they can see something's wrong because the vibration doesn't feel right the moment you walk in the door. So your woman looks at you and says, "Baby, are you okay?" Tell her what's going on. Just say, don't get up there and say, "No, baby, ain't nothing wrong," blah, 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 because you've already lost. You've already lost that effectiveness of communication because you cut it off at a time when you should be talking about it. Or give them that chance to say, "Well, like Darlie said, I want to talk about it, but right now, give me a few minutes to ease off, or give me 24 hours and we can talk about it also. But right now, that's the communication part that you need. Whether you express what's going on or not, you still expressing a point and establishment, not being a mind reader, because I can already tell something's wrong from the vibration you giving off. So if I'm asking you, "Hey, something wrong that you want to talk about," and you tell me, "I don't want to talk about it right now, but give me a minute." And now I'm understanding. I already know something's wrong, but I'm going to wait for you to bring it out and be like, "Okay, now I'm going to say." But if I ask you what's going on and you say ain't nothing going on, and then when I say, "Okay," and I ignore you, don't get mad at me. You see what I'm saying? Don't get mad at me for ignoring the fact that you told me nothing is wrong. Now you want to talk about it, and I may not be in that mindset to do it, but we still can. It's still a communicating factor of knowing each other. That's the key thing, knowing one another. Because there's going to be times where we may not feel like we want to talk to somebody or within that thing, but be mindful and respectable of the king and queen to be like, "Nah, baby, I don't want to talk right now, but give me a few." And that's it. That's the best advice I can give to anybody right now. What you do with it is yours. But take it from a lot of us who walk that walk and talk that talk. Even you, my brother Dre, you have something valuable to tell somebody. You know, you have. I love it. You have something right now that I love to pick with you. I would love to sit down and break bread with you every time because see, you're never too old to learn something new. You know, I don't believe in that stigmatism. You
That's
can't
what's
teach
up.
an old dog new tricks. Okay. I don't believe in that. You learn every day. That's what the knowledge is. Knowledge is to look, listen, observe, and respect. Every day you learn something new. So just take that in mind. Men and women, again, we have a duality in our relationships. We have a job and a duty to uphold within ourselves. First, you must love yourself before you can give to anybody else your love. You got to know what your love is for you. And when you know and understand your love to be the best, you give your best to the next person. You know, and that's why I'm gonna end it like this. Peace to my fams.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, y'all. And thank you for everybody for your inputs, for your feedback, all that. The one piece of advice I would give: be honest, open-minded, and willing. Remain loyal and faithful. Right. And if you can't do those things, step off. Don't drag. Don't take no hostages. Don't drag nobody. Don't let yourself be dragged. Right. If it's not giving you or fulfilling that what you want, speak on it. If there's still no changes, leave. But under no circumstances, no under unknown circumstances, do you cheat. Just walk away. Just walk away. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It was an awesome, awesome session. Like I said, um, I believe in just love and communication because when you operate on that, the peace that comes from it is just priceless. It's priceless. When you have gone through turmoil and even being stuck in life or stuck in a hole, or stuck in a box or stuck in a barrel, and you know who to turn to or just how to get out. When you take that step back and what happens is ego, and I always use ego, pride, and ignorance. We so many people walk with it. If you take your ego off, if you take your pride to the side, and you take that ignorant hat off, the freedom that you have unlocked is just priceless. Because at that particular point, you're open to learn and to inhale, digest a newness, new information, education, wisdom you will gain from your experiences because guess what? You're expressing yourself now. You can tell someone a story. You can become empowered over your own journey. And then you can empower other people. But one thing I notice about people, they don't like to share. They keep stuff all locked up. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Or they'll try to act like there's nothing wrong. You got to talk about it. You got to free yourself because you have a mental and spiritual bondage going on, and you're stuck, and you don't even know how to be free. You just existing. You're not living, and it's just so important. Just like how y'all are saying, be honest. Just be truthful. Walk in your truth. Be committed, be loyal, honor that with each other, and just come together to create your own blueprint. And then the ones that's always saying, "Oh, I don't need nobody," you're only saying that because you got hurt so many times and you don't want to be hurt no more. You just cannot stand the pain. So I'm just saying today, I thank you, and I thank you again and again. It's important to demonstrate how different views can come together, collaborate, and demonstrate strength. That's a leadership skill. It's important that we demonstrate how it ought to look like, because at the beginning and the end of the day, it's love. It's okay to have a different viewpoint. You hear each other. That's what mature people do. You listen, you hear, you participate, you share. And at the end of the course, you may be enlightened and learn something new. So once again, I thank you, gentlemen, you kings. We're gonna give me a hold on a minute. We're gonna see what we're gonna talk about next week. Um, and I'll be right with you. So I just wanna close out right now to thank you, the viewers, for supporting the men's locker room. Where's my king? I started this ministry in August, and this ministry, it was important to me to allow men to have a platform to speak, because as a woman, of experiencing and hearing other women who are going through a lot of changes, depression, anxiety, hurt, pain, mental anguish, and they don't have answers. So I developed my platforms for men and women to bring up topics to show what it ought to look like, what it could be, because you may be too embarrassed to tell anyone. And maybe I can bring up a topic that you can hear, or maybe you're touching on something that um, you need help with. And we may be giving advice to you that you can take and as a learning tool and put it on your library to help you later. Build your arsenal. Hear us out. Give us topics. Let us talk about it. I believe in bringing topics to the table so we can hear what it sounds like. We don't have to argue with each other. We can love each other. Just because two people do not agree does not mean that we don't have to get along. Communication is huge, ladies and gentlemen. Huge. It is so huge that anything can be repaired for communication, effective communication. So my name is Ilyasa Simpson. I am your host for tonight of the Charge Room, my ministry, also known as Minister Charge, also known as Coach Illy. I have programming out for you women and look out for me. It is because it's branding time. My name is Ilyasa. I see you next week. This is Where is My King? #men's locker room. Good night.